Hello everyone, this is Anil Raj. Welcome to Wits Connect. In today's topic, we are going to deal about simple stresses and strains. So, before going for the simple stresses and strains, we need to know some of the basic definitions. So, the first definition is strength. So, what is mean by strength? So, here the ability of a material to resist external load against a failure is called as strength. This strength will save the structure against the failure. It means the ability of a material to resist against the external failure. This strength tells us that because of this strength the material is not going to fail. So the strength is our first design parameter. So it is called as primary design parameter. So primary design parameter. So strength is a primary design parameter. Strength is a primary design parameter, and after finding out the strength you need to go for the stiffness. After finding out the strength, we need to go and find out the stiffness. What is stiffness? Here the ability to restrain or to resist, the ability to resist deformation against deflection is called stiffness. So here the major difference between strength and stiffness is strength is nothing but the ability of a material to resist against external failure. Here the ability to resist deformation against the deflection is called as stiffness, right? So here stiffness is a secondary parameter. So when you consider material, strength is the first design parameter and stiffness is the secondary design parameter. Secondary design parameter. So whatever the material you take, first you will consider the strength, then you will go for the stiffness, because this is the primary design parameter, this is the secondary design parameter, and according to this, when the deflection increases, stiffness reduces. So when the deflection of a body, whatever the deflection of a body which will increases, so vice versa the stiffness is going to be reduced. Stiffness is going to be reduced, right? So in the both the ways you can express this. Whenever it is increasing, this is going to be reduced, right? Let us see some assumptions which are made in simple stresses and strains, right? According to this theory, what are the assumptions? Let us take the first assumptions. What is my first assumption? Is the material should be solid, right? It should be solid and which should not have no cracks in it. So no cracks should be provided. So whatever the body which we are taking, that should be solid enough and there should not be no cracks. For example, if I take a body like this, when I'm applying the load on the body, the load should be equally distributed. In case of any cracks which are going to be developed in the body, then what happens in the sense, the failure occurs there. It means whatever the load which you are taking, that load is going to be increased on these cracks, and this will cause to failure. This is cause to failure. So generally, whenever the solid particles which you are taking, that should be the particle should be always, that should be a solid one, and that should have no cracks in it. And next assumption, so that is our assumption number 2, self weight should be ignored. Self weight should be ignored. It means depending upon the body, we should not we should not decide that okay, this body is having lesser dimensions, so that it is having lesser weight, so that it is not going to take much loads. So actually the self weight of the body should be ignored, because if you take the beam which is taking the load of a slab which is very less to this, but it will take more load, because self weight is going to be ignored here. Self weight is going to be ignored. The self weight of the bodies should be ignored, so that it has to be considered. Whatever the weight is there that you should not consider, then maximum this is going to be good. And superposition should be valid. Superposition should be valid, right? So what is superposition? For example, if I take a beam which contains little bit amounts of loads in it, what happens in the sense, the sum of the loads should be equivalent to the resultant. The sum of the load should be equivalent to the resultant is termed as the superposition. And next, and let us go for the fourth point. The fourth point is the material should be homogeneous and isotropic. So homogeneous and isotropic. The material should be homogeneous and isotropic. So let us see what is homogeneous and what is isotropic. Just now we have seen homogeneous. So the material should be homogeneous. So it is a single word, I am writing like this. So what is homogeneous? Homo in the sense it is made up of same. Geneous is material. What is homogeneous materials? The material which are made up of a single unit is called as homogeneous materials. What are the example for homogeneous material? Example would be, if you take the wood, that is the best example for the homogeneous material, because wood is made up of only wood, nothing is going to mixed in this. So that is, we'll call it as homogeneous materials. And next we'll go for isotropic. What is isotropic? Isotropic is nothing but, iso in the sense this is also same, tropic in the sense directional properties. It means isotropic materials are the materials which are made up of several materials. It means it is a mixture of alloy. For example, I'm writing the example here. If you take silver, gold, copper, zinc, etc., whatever the materials you take, those are called as isotropic materials. It means it is having the isotropic property. For example, I am having, in case of wood, so only in single directions the properties are going to be, the stresses is going to be released. So here the stresses are going to be released in single directions in case of a homogeneous material. Isotropic in the sense, iso in the directional property in the sense, for example, if I take any materials, the directional properties is same in all the directions. Let me tell you a best example. I am having a small ball of silver. I'm having a small ball of silver. So when I press the silver ball, then what happens? It turns into a silver coin. It means a round coin. It is going to be turned into a round coin. So it tells that so this is having a directional property in all the directions. How I am getting a coin in the sense, in the round coin in the sense, whenever the pressure force which is acting on the body, it is having the ability of directional properties in all the directions, so that I am getting a round coin. So that's why whatever the coins which we are seeing, those are having isotropic properties. For example, silver, gold, copper, you can say all the coins. So this is having isotropic property. Homogeneous in the sense the single directions the pressure is going to be released. Isotropic in the sense same materials but the directional properties throughout the sections. It means in all the directions the pressure is going to be released. So that's why we are getting all this type of coins, right? Similarly, let us see orthotropic. Orthotropic. What is orthotropic? Ortho in the sense this is it is also a type of a property which is not the same. Ortho in the sense it is perpendicular. Perpendicular. Troping in the sense it is same. It is a directional property. Directional property. Right? Orthotropic. So all the layered materials comes under orthotropic. What are the layered materials? For example, if you take coal, if you take asbestos, so this coal is in the form of a layers. So these layered forms will gives us a perpendicular, whatever the load which when you are acting the pressure is going to be released in perpendicular directions, in the opposite directions the pressure is going to be released. So that's why coal, mica, asbestos, these are comes under orthotropic properties. We are having three type of properties. First one is homogeneous property, isotropic property and orthotropic property. Homogeneous property in the sense the same material, the pressure will be in the same directions and which are made up of same materials. Example we have seen, that is wood. Isotropic property in the sense same directional property which is made up of alloys, but the material, for example whatever the material take, the directional property will be same in all the directions. And orthotropic in the sense, ortho in the sense perpendicular directions, whatever the pressures when you are releasing on this, so the pressure is acting in the perpendicular directions. The example is coal and asbestos, right? The force of resistance offered by a body against deformation is called as stress. So this is the exact definition of stress. So generally these stresses are indicated with sigma. Stress is always indicated with sigma, where stress is nothing but in the numerical value that will be load by area. Therefore stress is nothing but load by area. You can write these definitions also, but the actual definition of stress is this: the force of resistance offered by a body against deformation is called as stress, where that is denoted with sigma. Sigma is nothing but load by area. So what are the units of load here? Load will be always in newtons and area will be in mm square, Newton per mm square. So the units of stress will be Newton per mm square. So this is stress. And let us see how the stresses are divided and how many types of stresses are there, right? Of stresses, right? So stresses, these stresses are further divided into two types. One is direct stress and next is indirect stress. So this is direct stress and next is indirect stress. So stresses are divided into two types. One is direct stress and next is indirect stress. These direct stresses are also divided into two categories, right? So those are normal stresses next is shear stress. Normal stress and shear stresses. So stresses are divided into two types. One is direct and next is indirect. Direct stress are divided into two types. Again, that is normal stresses as well as shear stresses. These normal stresses are also further divided into two types. So then is compressive stress. Compressive stress. Next, tensile stress. Tensile stress. So let us see once. These stresses, whatever the stresses which you are taking, are divided into two types. One is direct stress, next is indirect stress. Direct stresses are further divided into two types. One is normal stress, next is shear stresses. And these shear stresses are further divided into compressive stresses as well as tensile stresses. And what about indirect stresses? These indirect stresses are also further divided into two types. So one is normal stress, next is shear stress. Shear stress. So these indirect stress are also divided into two types. One is normal stress and next is shear stresses. And when it comes to normal stresses, and this is further divided into bending stresses. Bending stresses. So like this, the stresses are going to be divided. Stresses are divided into two types, direct and indirect. Direct are divided into two types, normal and shear. And these normal is divided into two types, compressive and tensile. And indirect stresses are further divided into two types, one is normal and next is shear. And this is also divided into bending stresses. So let us see in detail what is the compressive forces, what are tensile forces in brief, right? And now let's discuss about compression. What is compression? What do you mean by compression? Compression is very simple. Actually, whenever a body is there, when two opposite forces acting on a body tries to make the body shorten, it means when two forces are acting on a body and it is trying to compress it, it is called as compressive forces, right? For example, if I take this section, so here two forces are acting on this section. One force is acting from this end and next force is acting from this end. So here what happens in the sense, two loads are acting and it is trying to make the body compress. So what happens due to these loads? So this structure is going to be compressed like this. So what happens in the sense, when you are compressing, the length is going to be reduced but the width is going to be increased. So this is called as compressive forces, and obviously the units also always that will be Newton per mm square. And similarly, let us see the tensile forces. What are tensile forces? So if I take the same body again, and when I want to try to elongate the body in this direction, then tensile forces are going to be developed. It means I am trying to extend the body beyond the length. So here I am trying to shortening the length, here I am trying to increase the length. So what happened here in the sense, here the length is going to be increased, but the width is going to be reduced. So like this. So this is termed as tensile forces. So these tensile forces will be also always in Newton per mm square. So compressive forces will always compress the body or shorten the body. Tensile forces will always try to extend or elongate the body in the direction of force. Next, let us go for shear stresses. What is a shear stress? For example, I am having a body. So here, let this be A, B, C, D, right? In the A, B, C, D of the body, what happens in the sense? So whenever the force is acting on the body, it is trying to shear the force. Because of this, AD is fixed to the base. So due to this, whatever the forces which you are acting on this body, actually I am trying to make some forces on CB directions, then what happens? Due to this fixed end moment, so opposite forces are going to be developed. Here, the whatever the force you are going to be generated in this, the force is going to be shared in the opposite direction. So, for example, you are applying 10 kilonewtons load over here. So, obviously, half of the load, that is 5 kilonewtons, will be taken by this load. That means in the opposite direction, the load is going to be shared. It means sharing in the sense, whatever the pressure which you are giving for the body, whatever the load which you are giving for the body, that is going to be shared. When this load is shared, in the sense when the body is fixed only. See, in this case there is no sharings. So you're having three sections. One is compression, next is tension, next is shear. Compression in the sense, here the body is going to be compressed due to the external load. Tensile in the sense, the body is going to be elongated due to the presence due to this external load. And third one is shearing in the sense, so whatever the load which you are acting on this body, the load is going to be shared by the bodies. So these are the three cases. One is compression, tensile and shear. Now let's see the bending stresses. Bending stresses. So what are bending stresses? Where it is going to be developed? Let us see. So similarly, bending stresses in the sense, the bending stress is going to be developed in your body when the load acts away from the axis. For example, this is my beam and this is my axial point. Let this be XS. This is called as axial point. Whenever the load which is acting on this point, we'll call it as axial load. For example, here the load is acting, for example, P is acting over at a center line, so it is called as axial load. Axial load in the sense, the load which is acting in the along the axis, right? Now we are talking about bending stresses. Bending stresses in the sense, so the load is acting away from the axis. So when the load is acting away from the axis, then what happens? Bending is going to be developed. Bending is going to be developed due to this. What happens in the sense, actually here there is no load. When the load which is acting over here, then what happens? Due to this load, the beam is trying to overturn like this. So here bending is going to be developed in that body. So that bending is termed as bending stresses. The stresses which are developed in your body due to the external load which acts away from the axis is called as bending stresses. So bending stresses, for example, if you see, the stresses will be like this. So when I distribute this beam, this will be like this: A, B, C, D. This is under compression, this is under tension. It means whenever the load which is whenever the beam which is going to be loaded like this, the stresses is going to be developed like this. So that is half of this will be in the compression, half of this will be in the tension, and the middlemost point we'll call it as neutral axis. This is called as neutral axis. Neutral axis in the sense, this will neither go for compression or nor go for bendings. If you want to draw over here also, I can draw over here. So here what happens in the sense, this is my bending, so this is compression, this will be tension. So like this the bending moment is going to be generated. So these are called as bending stresses, right? And now let's discuss about strain. What is a strain? So I am writing the definition of the strain. It is the ratio of change in length to the original length. Changing length to the original length. So strain, it is the ratio of change in length to the original length. Strain may be denoted with this. Strain is nothing but change in length by original length. And what about the units for this? So length units will be For example, if this is meters and if this is meters, so meters get cancelled, so there will be no units for the strain. So there is no units for strain. So the definition, once again we'll see the definition of a strain. It is the ratio of change in length to the original length. So whenever a body is in strain condition, when the strain is continuously increasing, then the strain turns to, then the stress turns to strain, right? Now let us see volumetric strain. Volumetric strain. So what is volumetric strain? So generally, the strain which is developed in a vacuum or in a body, for example, you can write the ratio. It is the ratio of change in volume to its original volume. It is the ratio of change in volume to its original volume. Equal to change in volume by original volume, right? Volume will be in meter cube, and this get cancelled, so there is no units for this. So stress is nothing but load by area, strain is nothing but change in length by original length. The units of stress is Newton per mm square. Then the units of strain is there is no units. Absolutely there is no units. Okay, fine. Thank you.